Welcome to the Spaghetti Wall podcast, where we dive into life.
Both the messy parts and the moments of joy, and everything in between. I'm Jason Wilcox, licensed clinical social worker.
And I'm Dr. Thaen Saelee, a licensed clinical psychologist.
So today's topic is 777. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. I know I hadn't until I saw it in a news article a couple days ago about 777, asking if you're meeting the metrics in your relationship.
Oh, when you say 777, I just think about being at the casino trying to hit those numbers when I'm on the slot machine. So that's curious. So 777, looking at 7 ways we can connect. What are you talking about,
so
Jason?
777. For those that don't know what it means every 7 days you go on a date in your relationship. Every 7 weeks you go on like a weekend vacation. And every 7 months you're going on a bigger trip, something like maybe another country or just some kind of bigger trip together.
Okay, so this is kind of a number made up to help couples kind of stay on track for ways to connect or take time together.
Yeah, basically. So the article talked about how, there's people out there that support or promote that you should be looking at a 7-7 rule within your relationship. And it was an interesting article, seeing how they kind of took their position on it. Anytime I see something like this, it brings me back to something we talked about in our last podcast episode. It's the idea of whenever we hear something like this, if you take it and go, oh yeah, we need to do that in our relationship, it may or may not work. And that's where I start having concerns, is where people take these trending ideas and then immediately say, oh, we either got to do that or we're not measuring up if we don't do that.
I think I was reading that and I did that, Jason, because I started going, okay, well, we do go on a lunch date every Friday or every Monday when we have time off during the weekday. And then I was like, we do go to the beach quite often, just to hang out, decompress. And so that, I think that counts as the weekend getaway. But I think we're lacking on the 7 months. So that made me go, I think it did give me a feeling of like, oh, well, I'm deprived of something. We're not doing the 7-month vacation.
And that's where I get concerned for couples, right? This method might be great for some couples and it may not for others. I think when we hear things like this, when you're on social media or looking at the news, the biggest thing I would always encourage couples to take away, even listening to our podcast, is what is beneficial for your relationship, right? It's not about what are you lacking or what are you deprived of or are you meeting the mark or whatever. It's more about what is the outcome you want in your relationship? Are you getting that outcome? If you're not getting that outcome, what are things that maybe you need to do different to get to that outcome?
Yeah, honestly, I immediately went online and started looking for vacations for couples because I panicked. I'm like, we're not meeting that 7-month mark, Jason. And honestly, that's what I did. And then, my frontal lobe go, wait a minute. I am happy with the life that we've built. And we've talked about our values around traveling at our age and having a 5-year-old and teenagers. It's just kind of not really for us. So yeah, I had to bring myself back because I clickbait on it. I clicked on it, I read it, and I panicked thinking we're not measuring up. It also brought me to a conversation I was having with a client, a male client, and he said, I'm trying to reconnect with my wife. He was able to admit that, at the beginning of their marriage, it was mainly his wife pulling for connection and more emotional connection and having him talk about his feelings more, and he wasn't used to that. So now, fast forward years later, he's starting to feel the disconnection because life changes and the physical affection is no longer there. He would admit that maybe his wife's burnt out from feeling like she's the only one connecting. So he was asking me, okay, well, I feel like we do things to connect. Here are some examples. We go thrifting together. We went to grocery shop. We went to get some a drink. And I said, those times, are you parallel playing? Are you just having each other around? Is it really engagement? And as we explore, it wasn't. So we talked about how emotional connection is really built when you're facing each other, you're engaging, you're doing something together. It is more dynamic in that sense. It's not just we're sitting down watching a show together. Oh, she's painting and I'm doing a puzzle over here. I think those are different activities. And so in thinking about the 777, I think I caution people to also think about activities that bring you together and bring you engagement instead of going, okay, well, so maybe we go on a vacation, we're on a cruise, but you're on the other side of the boat and I'm doing these activities that you don't like. And we're just on the boat together, but we're not doing things together. So I caution about that.
Right. This goes back to what is the outcome you want? And even with connection, like you were talking about, I think even with what you said, there's one slight caution I'd put out there. Because exactly, you want to look at what is the activity? What are we doing? Are we connecting? But connection can feel different for each individual. So for some people doing a puzzle together, they might feel very connected. Someone sitting and cuddling watching a show might feel very connected. But the question is if that's making you feel connected, is it making your partner feel connected? And if it's not, that's where you need to talk. You need to be talking about what does connection mean to you? How do you feel connected? What are times you feel connected? And how do you make space for that kind of connecting? And that doesn't mean you have to go on some lavish trip somewhere that costs a lot of money. There's a lot of ways to connect. So it's not about, oh, we're not meeting the mark because we're not going on this trip every 7 months that we don't even have money for. It's more about, are you connecting? Are you finding the ways that you feel connection? Is it that you're looking for your partner to be the primary source of connection? Are you also having friends or other places where you feel you need connection, right? Like the cautionary tale, going back to the main topic here of the 777. If you hear it, you see it, it's great to pause and go, am I finding connection with my partner? Am I making the space for it? Am I getting the outcomes I want in my relationship with my partner? And if not, what do I need to do different? If the 777 formula is something that works for you and your partner, then awesome. Like, make it happen. Cool. Go for it. If it's not, if that's not your way in your relationship, it doesn't need to be either.
Yeah, I laugh when I hear about this formula and calling it a formula because I know lots of people who don't like this rigid structure and standard, right? Oh, so we have to check in once a week. We have to check in every 7 weeks. We have to check in, every 7 months. That's like a schedule and it feels inorganic. And I've had couples say, well, that just feels fake to me. Like we are obligated to check in with each other. And I would say that's true. I think that's my feeling too, that in our day to day life and in creating a meaningful connection with our partners and those we love, it's important for us to mindfully check in when we feel the disconnection or when the other person is saying, I'm feeling disconnected. And so I think, sure, if you're someone who spazzes out and need a schedule, need a reminder, that's great. But I think it's important not to expect your partner to be also wanting to be on that schedule of 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months. Um, I can tell you, I've dated someone who did this, and it felt very, very generic. Right? Once a month, you get this text, or once a week, you get this text, or every six weeks, you get these flowers, and it was just schedule. And so when it became automated, I felt that it was very, very not considerate. Like this person did not have me in mind. Their calendar did. They did not have me in mind. Their credit card did at this floral place, right? So I think it's important that these things have significance and these things have meaning, but they also or not automate it so that your partner might feel like, "Oh, sure, you're sending me things, you're getting me things, that is a reminder of your love, but I'm not really in your thoughts."
Right. So it goes back to, does it actually create connection? Now, connection, on the other hand, if we're looking at how we're connecting, it is a good idea. And this is why the 7-7 is not necessarily a bad thing. It's important to see what utilization or what use it does have. The use it does have is it can help you stop as a couple and go, wait, are we making sure we're getting the time together? And if you're not, what does that look like? And planning it out together and figuring it out together. So it does become something that's significant from the heart, and not something that's just, well, I program this into my phone to appease my wife or my husband or whatever. This is something that you guys have come together, you guys have figured out together, that you guys are making the space and time together. Is that happening? Right? It doesn't have to look like 7-7-7. It can look like lots of things. Like Tan and I, we have a couple different ways we connect, and we make time and space for each other. Most nights after we get kids to bed, it's our time. Most Fridays, not all, but most Fridays, we try to go out on a date. And then every other weekend, most every other weekends, we try to get out to the beach or do a little weekend thing. The big trips we try to do here and there, but they don't happen every year, but we've tried to get them in here and there each year. But how we connect, we love how we, or at least from my perspective, I love how I connect with you, and I love what we've put together. So the 7-7-7 may not work for us exactly how it's laid out, but how we've scheduled, I love it. So
I think, give yourself permission to be creative and think outside of the box too. I'm thinking, okay, maybe we could do like 7 minutes of something goofy or fun, 7 hours of cooking a month, 7 days of random, adventures. Be creative. It's okay. We don't need this formula. This formula is just a reminder that to check in.
exactly. But don't let it be the thing that makes you go, oh my gosh, we're not meeting the mark. Use it more of, are you getting the time with your partner? Have you guys talked about it? Are you guys finding ways to connect? That's the critical and important piece.
And I think, there's lots of barriers to day-to-day life and partners connecting. I totally get that and understand it. And there are limitations, but I think starting the conversation first and having a real honest conversation of like, I really miss this about us. Or when you do that, it doesn't really do anything for me. So I think having more real, honest conversation about connection is important, might be the first step.
And remembering again, connection is an individual thing, that you have to be able to connect with your partner and talk about what works for them and what works for you. I mean, it just popped in my head. Another way that you and I connect is we like to send words of affirmation throughout the day. I'll text you little things here and there, whether it's something as simple as I love you, or you make my world spin, or whatever, right? Like, and you do that with me too.
Oh yeah, you're reminding me of an incident when AI came out. Do you remember what you started doing, Jason, when AI came out? And I
Yeah,
I told you I did not like it.
right. I started asking AI, hey, what's another fun way to say whatever it was I was going to say? And it would give me some tweaks, and I'd be like, oh, cool. And then I would send that. And then you were like, wait, is this you or is this AI? And I said, well, yeah, I'm using AI to come up with some fun ways to say it. And you're like, I don't like that. So I stopped.
Right, right. Like the daily words of affirmation that I was used to getting, and that was in your voice, and the way I can recall you say things to me, that felt real. When you started sending me these like sentences and long paragraphs or poems or haiku about how you love me, immediately I was like, something's off. This is not my husband. Does not sound like my husband. It was fun, I appreciated it, but I knew it was not coming from you organically.
I think it was the voice in it. I think you could sense the voice changed, because I'd sent you poems and other things. I do that once in a while, with or without using the AI that I did for a short little bit there. because you liked them, but the difference is I think it just moved my voice. It changed how I write poetry and write things when I send those to you.
Yeah, I still appreciate the words. They were still coming from your heart, but I just knew it was not something that you would. I don't know. It was just obvious. I
Yeah,
don't know if
it was
our
the
audience
voice.
is obviously a good AI detector. People with their profile, you're like, that's definitely edited by AI and created by AI. So it just, again, for me, felt generic.
Right. And this might be fun for other people. Again, the point is you have to look at what creates connection for you, what creates connection for your partner. And that was a great example of where you spoke up saying, this doesn't create connection. Right. And so that was really helpful for me to know, oh, okay, don't go that direction. The other one works better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
this is important example that Tan's giving here of speaking up, talking about it, identifying what does create connection, what doesn't create connection.
Yeah, there's one more example from our personal life I like to share with the audience is I have some sensory issues. If I'm wearing socks and they feel a certain way, and Jason's massaging my feet and I have socks on, it does not feel good. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me. And he didn't know this, but for you, like physical touch and massaging me is some way you connect with me. And I do love it. And I had to tell him every time, hey, I got socks on. Don't be massaging my feet right now. And so, this is just another example that, I get that my partner loves to massage and physical touch is important and caressing is important. But there are times when the texture on my skin and the fabric I'm wearing just doesn't feel good. So I communicate that with him.
Which was helpful. And there's a piece that feels like it might be missing from what you're saying is when I do massage without the sock on, it's connecting for you too.
Yes, I love massages, but with the sensory issues that I have with fabric and the sounds they make for me, oh, it's horrible when I have it on. Same with gloves, same with certain types of there's certain times of the month where touch is painful for me. And so I communicate that with Jason. But again, I still receive that in the same way, but I'm always communicating because that changes for me depending on where my body and my hormones are at. And so I just encourage communication, ongoing communication.
Correct. But what we're identifying here is this ultimately is a form of connection for both of us, but there are boundaries around it for you that make it so it's enjoyable when we do have that kind of connection, which is not with the socks on or fabric textures and not at certain times that your body doesn't feel good. Those are times that it's not connecting, but the other times it is. So you and I communicate about it. We find where it's connecting and where it's not, and then we operate from that. But it goes back to we're talking about what actually creates connection for both of us.
Yeah, and that you can't read my mind. I think my
No.
highlight here is ongoing communication. Like I had an example from this morning. An individual, they usually do not, been together 7, 8 years. This couple, they don't celebrate Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day. It's usually the day after or the week of or whatever it is. But because things are busy, uh, prices are higher, lots of crowds, hard to get into places. And so this has been their norm for years and years. And, you know, she had shared with me that because her depression was so bad, that she started to kind of have a desire to and hope that her partner would do something grand for her this year, but it wasn't communicated, right? So Valentine's Day come, they're just hanging out, nothing's planned, nothing, and she's thinking the whole day, okay, I hope so, maybe he's gonna give me flowers, maybe we're gonna go, he's gonna surprise me on something. And so the day went on and she got more and more frustrated and sad. And so she finally said something. And we're working through this. And, at the end, she was able to conclude that, yes, her partner could not read her mind. And he did specifically said, hey, hon, don't usually celebrate it on this day. And if you wanted to, I would have more than happy to have made that happen. But, going back to my point is that your partner cannot read your mind. And sometimes things do change and things shift. So checking in, constantly checking in when things change, checking in when you're feeling a type of way, because without making the implicit explicit, we cannot move forward. So explicit communication on the daily, I would say, is something that supports our connection, supports our understanding of each other, Jason, and just knowing, going with the ebb and flow of life because things change constantly.
Yeah, it goes back to a lot of the basics when I listen to that story of assertive communication. Don't fall into the passive aggressive or aggressive, so stay assertive. One thing that I hear laced in there is watch out for your negative core beliefs. They'll trip you up in relationships, especially when you're trying to communicate about connection. If I had a negative core belief around massaging your foot with your sock on and you say that doesn't feel good, I would have taken it personal, right?
Hmm.
So watching out for your negative core beliefs that trip things up. But communication, openness, finding ways to connect, listening to your partner, what connects for them, identifying what connects for you and talking about that so you guys find a good plan that works for both of you. And the other big one I think that we're identifying here that we identified last time too is be careful of things that are trending online, that you allow it to impact you in a way that you feel like, oh, I have to do that in order for me to have a good relationship. Instead, taking away the general idea, the fundamentals from it, and not you going, oh, I have to do this thing, can be very helpful. So, just watching out for that clickbait, watching out for things that are going out there and everybody's like, oh, I got to follow this thing.
It is so hard because on Instagram, on TikTok, on social media platforms, people are talking about Valentine's Day. People are posting about their gifts. People are posting about their experiences with their partners. So, yeah, if you're consuming that and then comparing your own life to it, it's going to make you feel down about yourself. And then those inner negative core beliefs of, I'm not important, my partner doesn't care about me as much, I'm not special, it starts to seep in.
Well, if you're someone that is happening to, I'd always put it out there of, is social media really benefiting your life? But if you can see it as, hey, that's really cool that they did that. Is there something you really like that you want to talk to your partner about that you're learning? Like it's like a learning thing that you go, ooh, this might be fun. Then cool, great. But if it's impacting you in such a negative way, is it really bringing benefit to your life? So I think a good wrap up might be the fact that there are thousands of couples out there that do not follow a 777 rule and have phenomenal connecting relationships. And there's couples out there that follow the 7-7 rule and it makes great big impacts for them. You have to look at your individual relationship. You have to look at you two as individuals and talk through these things and find what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and not allow someone else to tell you how your relationship has to be when it's really an individual thing.
Hmm. Comparing yourself to others, or comparing, is the thief of joy. So I was thinking about this statement and how it applies to the 777 and how people might start to feel deprived or sad about their situation and not having this or that, and not meeting this standard formula for connection with your partner, is reality testing. Like when you start to feel a certain way internally, not because of what's happening, but just because your mind's taking control, or because you start comparing and you forget you actually do have great things in your life with your partner. I think that reality testing is important, where you're able to go, no, I am happy. Here are things that we do. Here are things that we experience. Here is how I experience my partner every day. It may not meet this standard, but I am happy. So I think it's important for us to step away from the comparing and to really reality test, not only to check our own negative core beliefs and thinking distortions, but to check the fact that this belief and me buying into this formula is making me sad. And if I move away from that and I reality test what's really being experienced within my relationship with my partner, we're actually quite content.
Yeah, it's the difference between looking at information that you find wherever, social media, news, whatever, and doing the comparing and judgmental type of thinking versus it being information that you learn and just go, oh, interesting. Is there something here I find value and want to bring into my life? It's very different. And if you get caught in that trap of comparing and being judgmental about the information, it doesn't get you anywhere healthy.
No, not at all. I think I'm just on the track of thinking distortion because I start to think about when someone internalizes it, the thinking distortion is I'm at fault. I'm the one making things really difficult and I'm the reason why we're not happy. Or
My partner.
blaming,
Yeah.
yeah, or blaming, you're not doing this for me. My partner's not doing this for me. They should be doing X, Y, and Z. This partner's doing X, Y, and Z. And so I would say just watch for that. Watch for the internalized blame or the externalized blame, trying to find who's at fault instead of going, is this truly how I feel? Are we missing things in our relationship or are we actually quite content with how we're operating?
Right. Because I don't know. For me, the reality is I'm content and connected as long as I get to be with you.
I
Whether
love
that's
that.
whether that's being just in space like this right now, or whether we're out at the beach or wherever, or driving to pick up a prescription, right? Like just connecting is enjoyable for me. That's for me, and everybody's different. So don't take that and go, oh my gosh, Jason operates that way. I'm supposed to operate that way. That's the theme of this podcast is you be you. That's really critical and important.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about masking in social situation and in your love relationship and your romantic relationship. If you're masking and you're not showing up genuinely and being honest about how you connect genuinely, yeah, that could be a problem. Thank you so much for joining us today about talking about this trending formula of 777 within relationships. Hopefully, you guys got something to take away or something to reflect on more. If you guys are interested in other topics for us to dive into, please comment it on our comment section. And if you'd like to be on the show, please reach out to us. We would love to have a discussion on topics related to relationships, connection, couples, whatever it is. Thank you again and be kind to yourself and others.
And find us on all the regular social media sites.